Ladders are tough to work with. They're inanimate objects.
Well, remember, that was the ladder that Cody suplexed Sammy on. The structural integrity is now questionable as Cody's finding out he's making the climb.
Sammy's going to have to... Sammy!
Oh, what a cutter! At least 10 feet, maybe 12. The cutter was perfectly executed. The fans here going crazy, and rightfully so.
What the hell just happened?
Look at this.
Sammy Guevara leapfrogs off the ladder to land a cutter on the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Listening to Talk AEW, the official wrestling podcast of tiltmagazine.net and goomastop.com. I'm your co-host, Mariko McDonald, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Aaron Santos.
Hello, WrestleManiacs.
And of course, the editor-in-chief of Tilt Magazine and goomastop.com, the ravishing Ricky D.
What's up, Mariko? What's up, Aaron? What's up, AEW fans? What's up, Chris Jericho, Sammy, Cody Rhodes, Marco Stunt? What's up, Wardlow? What's up, Britt Baker? What's up, Adam Cole? What's up, The Elite? What's up, yo? What's up, everybody? What's up, Snoop Dogg?
What's up, Danhausen?
We got to talk about Danhausen. What's the main event today?
Today's main event is going to be talking about Sammy Two Belts, the official unified TNT champion. Where do we see this title reign going? Does he need more story? What kind of story should it be? But first, it is time for Ricky's question block.
All right, it's that time in which I ask you, well, not the listeners, you guys. The listeners can listen and they can answer, but we're not really asking the listeners because they're listening to us answer the questions. But anyways, the point is I'm going to ask the questions that we've been asking ourselves all week long, starting with the biggest question of the week. How did you feel when you saw a Mr. Danhausen show up on AEW Dynamite?
Ecstatic. Shocked, but ecstatic.
Legit, my brain broke a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could feel all of you screaming in unison as we all dove onto the group chat to just, like, share our shot gifts.
Yeah.
And, like, I was so flustered. I didn't even see him leave. Like, apparently he just, like, wandered off.
No, he just, the best exit is just like, just walk away.
Everything about that introduction was so perfect.
Mm-hmm. Because he didn't to do any more than that. It was just perfect.
No, he didn't.
Dude, it was so perfectly timed that if you see it in slow motion, as he's slowly moving back away and disappearing, someone stands up and they raise a sign that says,
"Very nice, very evil." As soon as he popped out from the thing, it was like the perfect angle where he's in the left and the thing's in the foreground. And I was just like, is that guy with Danhausen? Like, did he know?
Like, there was one person in the crowd with the sign who just happened to be in the perfect spot with the camera on him when Danhausen leaves so we can catch a sign. Very nice, very evil. It was fantastic. I lost my mind. I actually dropped my controller, so I went to go pick up the controller, and I look up and I see Danhausen, and I fucking jumped because it was like, I saw it on replay, right?
Yeah.
And so you see Adam Cole goes to grab the chair and Danhausen is like holding onto the chair. I didn't see that part. Like, no. I did not see the live.
Uh-huh.
The only thing I saw was I looked up and Danhausen's face was like, it was like a close up of his face. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell's happening here? Like, I legit thought for a split second that because I dropped the controller, I somehow changed channels and I was on a different like wrestling program. Like, it was mind-boggling. I'm trying to think of like my 5 favorite wrestlers right now in AEW, and like Danhausen's on the top 5. Mm-hmm. Like, my whole list of my 5 favorite wrestlers has completely changed from 2021 to 2022. On that, like, completely changed. Like, from the start of 2021 to the start of 2022, my whole list is completely different.
Yeah, like for me, it was it was an awestruck moment because, like, holy crap, Danhausen's actually here. But holy crap, Danhausen's like next to Adam Cole, you know, and
Yeah.
then your brain just starts thinking, I'm like, my God, just think about the possibilities like of the people he gets to work with, you know?
Speaking of which, that brings me to my next question, and there's only one answer. If you can put him in a faction, who would you side Danhausen with in AEW? I already got two people in mind.
I mean, I feel like the obvious question would be like the best friends, because
Yeah, because he actually did a post show spot where he said that he is very good friends with Mr. Orange Cassidy, and he came to help him, and that's all he said.
yeah, I mean, he mentions quite a bit like on his vlog how close friends he's with Orange Cassidy. He even did like the whole like dark denim with Danhausen's face
Oh,
on his
that's
shirt.
right. And they were teaming up on the they teamed up on the Jericho cruise, right?
That's right. That's
Or
right.
was it him and no? Is Will Ospreay and Jericho versus no? Who did
Was
Will
it?
Ospreay
No,
team up with?
he teamed up. Didn't he team up with Orange Cassidy and that
That's
Jericho
what I
cruise?
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting confused because I think Will Ospreay was in that match though.
Yeah, well, Ospreay was in that match too.
But who was
Okay, because
Will
I was
Ospreay's
actually
partner?
thinking of Sting, Darby Allin, and Danhausen versus the Gun Club.
Mm.
I mean, he has been feuding with them pretty hard.
Did you see the music video he made for them and released it on Twitter
It was
this week?
beautiful with the 5 Minutes of Midnight guy or whatever. Yeah, that guy's
Mm.
great.
If you haven't seen his music video, go on social media, follow Danhausen. He has one of the best social media accounts on Twitter,
Yeah,
period.
Yeah, he
And
just knows
check
what
out
he's
his music
doing.
video.
I
It is his music video is so well made. Like I guess he does the editing. Whoever does the post production, great job.
Mhm.
I love the transitions, the green screen, the special effects. It's hilarious. Like he basically makes a music video. It sounds like sort of like an 80s rock song for the Ass Club. And it is a
Billy
thing of
Ass and the
beauty.
Ass Boys.
Mhm.
It's a masterpiece. It's right up there with the Mona Lisa. It's incredible.
It's
very
just
good.
it's also watching the Twitter reactions from wrestlers on Twitter on the moment that he gets signed with AEW. You have like I think it was Colton Gunn. He's like, my career is ruined. And then there was another one. It was Brody King. He was like, oh my God, he followed me here.
Oh, I love that.
He's been feuding with the Gun Club on Twitter for like I
A
don't know,
while.
3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like his YouTube presence is pretty much just has been him doing appearances and fan conventions, and he always seems to be with the Ass Boys.
Yeah.
So it was just him harassing them and making up songs for them and stuff. It's good stuff.
All right. As much as I would love to talk about him for the next hour or so, we do need to move on. So my next question is, did you see the recent match involving Brian Cage, and did you hear the news that Brian Cage might not be coming back to AEW?
I have not seen the recent match, but I did hear about him not coming back, which is disappointing.
So he had an incredible match with Will Ospreay.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Incredible. He
Wow.
posted some highlights on Twitter,
I mean,
and
Will Ospreay matches are always incredible, but
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell that he's a bit bitter. And I hear rumors on Twitter, social media, and they spoke about on the Jim Cornette podcast, a few more podcasts. It doesn't seem like he's coming back.
no, it really doesn't.
From what I understand, he's not getting along with some people backstage.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the thing about Tony Khan is he just lets the contracts expire. So he won't just like straight up fire someone
Right.
and they're unemployed, which is kind of like really cool because it makes someone like a really nice boss. Like, by the way, we're not going to use you. We're still going to pay you for like the next like 6 months,
You're right.
which gives you enough time to like find the job elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's coming back. Anyhow, it was a really great match. If you can find it online, go check him out on social media. I don't know what happens backstage. All I know is that this dude in front of the camera, he's great. Like, he's great in the ring. I don't know why some people dislike him so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think back on his match with Darby Allin, and like, remember he picked him up and threw him into like the crowd. Like, that was an incredible match for the TNT Championship.
Yeah.
And I still think his match with Adam Page, which opened up the very first pay-per-view after the pandemic.
But yeah, there does seem to be some stigma or something that's following him around that like I don't I don't know, because
From what they said on the Cornette podcast, and we don't know if this is true, but apparently he doesn't get along with a lot of wrestlers backstage, and it's something that has happened in different wrestling promotions. I don't know.
Mhm.
I remember listening to him on the AEW Unrestricted podcast, like way back when he actually started with AEW, and I was like kind of like shocked at how well spoken he is, how intelligent he seems.
yeah,
He's like
he
a
seemed
family
just
man.
like
He's got a
really
daughter.
chill, down to earth guy who likes his comic books and wrestling and his family.
Mhm.
Anyhow, I hope they find a way to make it work because I think he can have a really good future in AEW, but we shall see. So, the biggest question of the week: what did you think of the? I guess would you call it a promo? The back and forth feud between CM Punk and MJF this week on Dynamite. I for some reason I think it might just be their best yet.
Mhm.
And like it doesn't have like the big shocking like one-liners like when CM Punk compared him to the Miz. But there was just something so raw and passionate and real
Mhm.
about it. Like it felt like it was the most honest promo they've cut. With CM Punk sort of like addressing the fact that he used to be a big fan of CM Punk. Like he
Mhm.
actually and like CM and the way MJF like he would mention things like the lawsuit which he had like CM Punk had with his former best friend Colt Cabana.
Mhm.
Like it just seemed like I don't know. For me, it was just like incredible. Like, am I alone here? Did you guys not think that this was amazing?
I
I
thought it
thought
was
it
a
was
great back and
good,
forth.
but there
Yeah.
were bits of it that it did kind of feel like a retread. Like this has been going on a while, so there's only so
Yeah.
much new material you can pull out with just being an asshole. Um, um, so I personally, it was a little long, but it was definitely one of the better back and forths that they've had through this whole feud. So I'm just kind of ready for like just give us the goods. Like
Yeah.
we've had all the lead up. Just give us the goods. Like there were good parts in it. I don't think it was a bad segment by any stretch. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
I just felt like there were maybe too many retreads, or there wasn't anything shocking. It was all just like kind
Yeah,
of
exactly.
it was just good. It was just good.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't amazing to me. It was just good.
yeah, I'm with Mariko with this one because it was a little long-winded. It was just like it was a lot of the same old like MJF being like, "Oh, you want the match? You want the match? Oh, we'll wait until next week." A lot of teasing, a lot of
What do
like,
you
but
think, Cleveland? What should
yeah,
I do?
mm-hmm,
We've already seen that like 4 times, which like okay, he's a
exactly.
heel, like it's his prerogative. But on the other hand, like
We're finally getting the match though. At least in that aspect, it's like yes, it was a promo because we are promoting a match for next week. So
Okay, so I'm going to say something controversial. I think this feud between MJF and CM Punk has the potential to be as great as the feud between The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin way back in the Attitude Era. And I was thinking about this. I was watching a promo, and I'm like, okay, both men are killer on the mic. Like,
mm-hmm,
both men can cut a promo like it's nobody's business. Both men are just as good as The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin on the mic. Completely different personalities, but I'm just saying when they speak, people listen.
yep,
People stop what they're doing and they listen, and they just command the room. They know how to work the crowd, and they have such good chemistry. I get what you're saying, but I just don't feel that way. I feel like I can watch this happen week after week after week for like the next year. I get that we don't want it to be repetitive, but they still haven't yet had the match. And that's the thing. Like, it's just such a great way to build to that first match.
yeah,
But
for
I
sure.
hope to God it's not like they have a match and then it's over. Because I know Tony Khan doesn't like his rematches. But, like, when you think back when wrestling was at the height of its popularity, you would have those rematches between guys like Triple H and Mankind, The Rock and Stone Cold,
Mm-hmm.
etc., because it just worked. And it's what people wanted to see in the back and forth battle on the mic.
Yeah.
So the reason why I personally like this promo so much is because it felt the most honest and truthful, and it felt like it came right from the heart. And then we transitioned to, and this is where I kind of got like the the vibes and feels of like the DX era when Triple H had his goons, right? And you have MJF with, by the way, the Pinnacle. We need to talk about these guys, but like, the Pinnacle comes out and they assault CM Punk, and then you have, of course, Wardlow. And he's kind of like undecisive. He doesn't like, you can kind of tell he's on the fence, and he's about like eventually he's gonna turn on MJF. This is no big secret,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You have so many stories being told within this like package.
Yeah.
Whereas before the promos were fantastic and it made me laugh and it got such a rise and like reaction from the crowd. But this promo, I think, did the most to advance the story. So I cannot wait to see what happens next week, which leads me to the very last question of this segment. And it's a big one. What do you think is going to happen next week? Do you think CM Punk is actually going to lose the match?
I don't think he's going to lose the match. I think Wardlow is going to I wouldn't say interfere, but he will be involved. He'll be involved somehow, some way that MJF loses, because I think that is pretty much the end game that we're getting to here.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do that as part of the CM Punk story. Like we're not gonna get the turn officially, but probably something just to keep it moving along. Like,
Yeah.
Wardlow's not gonna like snap and turn, but he's not there for some reason, or he doesn't do something the way MJF wants him to do it. Those are possibilities, but I kind of want it more to be just a straight up wrestling match, but I feel like that would still work.
I feel like we're not getting that. Somehow, like, MJF could weasel his way out of somehow out of the CM Punk match. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't put anything past him at this point. The way they've been teasing everything,
Yeah, I'm not betting the farm on a clean finisher.
Yeah. That's for sure.
But I'm hoping we don't get too much Pinnacle shenanigans. Like, I just feel, maybe some kind of run-in. Maybe we have like a surprise to chase them out. I don't know.
Well, again, like for me, like right now, the storyline is involved. I mean, for me, like it's really revolving around 3 people right now at the moment. I mean, like it seems like it is MJF versus like CM Punk, but also like Wardlow is pretty well in the picture, right? So
also Sean Spears. I mean, to be honest, like it's the most they've ever done with Sean Spears.
Right.
Like, he's sort of in the spotlight.
Yeah, sort of.
Well,
I mean,
like I know
he's Pinnacle, but
yeah.
Right, but I mean, it's the most he's ever got to do. Like, yeah, he loses a match to CM Punk in like 4 seconds, and he looks like a total douchebag. But it works. Like it works for him to play that sort of like character.
Yeah.
He's getting paid. He's on TV. He's sort of like in a main event. I don't know if he's been in a main event, but because I don't remember if the Punk match was a main event. No, it wasn't. It was midway.
Maybe one of the Cody matches.
Maybe. But look, it's tricky because like we know Tony Khan does not like rematches, but at the same time, the MJF storyline, which is actually something I want to talk about in the main event, but we could just do it now really quick. It's sort of, you don't want to talk about being repetitive. He's doing the same storyline he did with Chris Jericho and who was it? And Cody, where Cody had to wrestle all of his goons to get a match with him. Jericho had to wrestle all of his goons to get a match with MJF. And once again, now CM Punk had to wrestle all of his goons to get the match. So it's the same storyline on repeat 3 years in a row. It somehow has worked.
They've been doing it with everyone in the faction.
It's true.
Like the beating all the goons. DMD has her goons and she makes them fight everybody. Like it's a strategy that's maybe being leaned on a little bit too much right now.
Yeah, they've done it with the Elite.
Yeah, but the difference with this feud is unlike Cody and unlike Chris Jericho, who had a faction, CM Punk's a lone wolf. He has no friends. Like, he's in the ring, he's getting beat up by 5 men, including Wardlow, and nobody's helping. Not even Darby Allin, not even Sting.
Well, who knows? I mean, we know Danhausen has an affinity for Pepsi Man, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
There you go. Next feud.
We were in Cleveland, which is Wardlow's hometown,
Yeah.
right? So like everyone sort of assumed that if Wardlow was going to turn on MJF, it would be in Cleveland because it just
Mhm.
kind of like makes sense. And they didn't do that, which
No.
I thought was smart because it would have been too obvious.
Mhm.
But we still got the story being told in which we get the shot of Wardlow. He's not resisting, but he's not really keen on giving CM Punk, who's already down, like a power bomb.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Wardlow has pride. He sees himself as like a powerhouse, but he's also employed by MJF. Like
Yeah.
that's the story.
Mhm.
So, but I think it's too soon because like we need to see. We don't need. I hate to use the word need, but we want to see CM Punk and MJF in a match on a pay-per-view event. So the
Mhm.
next pay-per-view event is March,
Yeah.
I think. Okay,
Revolution.
Yeah.
Revolution. So let's say we get Punk and Mr. MJF on Revolution. So you can't start that feud with Wardlow right away. You need to wait until at least Revolution's over. So then we can start a feud between Wardlow and MJF that would build to the next pay-per-view. But I think what they're going to do, and I kind of feel like, I don't know if you listened to the podcast. I sent you guys a link. It was Wardlow was on the Chris Van Fleet podcast. And he kind of hinted that he's going to have like a huge year, kind of like a big year, kind of like I'm going to win the world title kind of year.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Wardlow's going to win the title. MJF's going to want the belt. And that is when he's going to turn on MJF. And I think he's going to give MJF the belt. He's going to hand him over the belt. I don't know how that's going to work. And then I think he's going to win it back.
I don't know. I just
I
want to
don't
see
know.
him powerbomb MJF onto the belt or something. Like, oh, you want the belt?
I think that's what everyone wants, man. They just want to see that MGF going through like the power bomb symphony. But yeah.
This episode of Dynamite was legit one of the best.
Oh,
it just made
I
me
agree.
happy to be a fan.
It, like the last 4 weeks or so, like everyone's been kind of complaining, like it's getting predictable.
Yeah.
The matches haven't been great. And I, like we said last week, like I get people are scrambling, people have been sick, people are out for random reasons and stuff like that right now. But yeah, this was definitely more of a return to form. The pacing was great.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Danhausen debut was just so masterfully done. It just, it kind of like sealed my, like, it just made the whole episode for me. Like that episode was, it didn't really matter what else happened. It was going to get an up for me for sure. But
so quick story before we go to the main event. So when we started our podcast, like in 2020, at the start of 2020, we were complaining about how bad Dynamite was. Like we're like, this is like the shits. And we were talking about how they should do a better job, especially at the start of the year, because you're setting up the rest of the year, but also like the road to WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. It's like when wrestling fans are just like, it's kind of like the Super Bowl for wrestling fans. It's like the playoffs, the NFL playoffs. So now's the time to be red hot. And so in 2021, they started Dynamite and it was killer. Like some of the best matches came from like the first few episodes of Dynamite last year. This year, it did not start well. Thank God they picked up, especially right before Royal Rumble, which is today, right?
Yep.
So like, yeah, this is fantastic. And you know, like we have so many wrestlers who we still haven't really seen much of. Like all of these new additions. Like now we got Danhausen, we got Brody King. We've seen him in like one match, I think. It was not even a good match, but whatever. We got a bunch of wrestlers turning heel, like legit Layla Hirsch. You got Serena Deeb, who's full on heel. She's like psychotic at this point in time. We have hints of like Wardlow going face and Trent going heel. It's like they're setting up a lot of storylines in the near future. So this is really, really exciting. And like if you look at our champions, like they got some amazing champions right now. We got Jade, we got Britt Baker, you know, we got, okay, maybe not the dinosaur, but you know.
Well, they've got him back to just being a dinosaur, and I think that can only help.
True. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Oranges.
That about wraps up our questions for this week. I think it's time to talk about a god, a Spanish god.
But first, we're going to take a quick break.
I've worked for this my entire life, man. I was 11 years old. I said I was gonna do this. People would laugh. People said I couldn't do something. They said that my entire career since day one. I call myself the best ever. Maybe I wasn't at day one, but I said I'd work and I'd work and I'd work, and no matter what, people tried to backstab me. People tried to bring me down, bury me, but you can't bury talent. All right? You cannot bury talent. That's why Fuego's here. That's why Sammy Guevara's here in AEW. That's why we're all elite. I started in this company as a supporting role, and I am the key pillar in this place, and that's why I am the unified champion.
Quick note from our sponsor, Grey Cat Apothecary. That's Grey with an E, because we are Canadian. We make fantastic soaps and skincare, 100% natural, largely organic, made with local ingredients. All the good stuff, none of the bad stuff. Go to greycatapothecary.com. And there is now a banner link if you go to talkaew.net. That'll be easier than having to type in the whole URL. That's greycatapothecary.com.
It's time for the main event.
And we're back on the main event on Talk AEW, talking about Sammy, the Spanish God. Take it away, Rick.
Me? Like, you want me to start? I'm just gonna I'm crying. This match,
Well,
dude,
that's why I wanted you to start.
Yeah.
I was crying watching this match. I was crying because I thought he would just hurt himself so bad he wouldn't be able to wrestle again.
And
Oh my gosh.
that has got to be one of the best ladder matches we've seen in a long time.
Oh my gosh.
Which, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first singles ladder match in AEW, right? I feel
Is it?
we've seen the ladder in a battle royale, and
Yeah,
maybe
there's been
tag
battle
teams.
royales. There's been a bunch of tag teams, but now that I think about it,
I don't think they've ever done a singles ladder match. I think
I
this was
don't
the
think
first.
that they have either.
And can I
I'm
just say, if
surprised.
this is the
Yeah,
if
I'm
this
very
is the
surprised.
first singles ladder match, good luck to everyone in the future that needs to follow up on this shit,
Mhm.
because
Seriously.
this was out of control,
Yep.
out of the world. Okay, it's
so
official.
well booked. It started kind of weird and messy, and then it's
Wow.
not like all of the spots were so well thought out.
Mhm.
Everything was just designed for gifts and for making people go crazy. I mean, my husband is still talking about that springboard cutter off the ladder.
Oh my gosh.
People are going to be talking about this for years.
Yeah.
But I need to ask you a question. I'm going to start with Aaron. There were so many killer spots, but what was the best moment in this incredible 5-star match?
I mean, for me, it would just have to be the superplex. Because
That was
because
beautiful.
well because not only that, but it was one of the three high spots that happened on top of ladders, but it was just that moment where it's holy crap, he's actually gonna do a superplex on top of a ladder, and not only that, but it's a suspended superplex. The dude was holding from what felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah, the delayed superplex. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, there were 3 just full-on ridiculous moves that everyone will be talking about for the rest of time. But it's perfect. You don't want to overbook a match like that, and
Mhm.
that's why people remember it and remember those spots so well too. Is it was just everything was just paced out so perfectly.
Yeah, 100%.
I totally agree. The way it was spread out. Dude, I think that was, for me, I agree. It was the highlight of the match. And the thing is, when you're on Twitter, you see people continuously retweet the cutter.
Oh yeah,
Right,
no,
yeah.
that gift is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. But I'm like, hello, dudes, what about the suplex? He held him for a good minute
Yeah.
at the top of the tallest ladder in the world
Uh-huh.
before dropping the suplex. I've never seen anyone do a suspended suplex from a ladder that high
No.
in wrestling ever.
I mean, these are 12-foot ladders, man. I'm holy crap.
It
Yeah.
was incredible.
Yeah, it was insane.
It is official. Sammy is the Spanish God. He is a god of wrestling. That is what I'm going to title the podcast. Sammy, the god
I
of
mean,
wrestling. It's incredible.
I mean, it just the number of times, so I just held my breath when they're because it's as great these moves are and everything, but it's just I just kept getting scared for their bodies their health. I mean, like, dude, that crossroads also from the top of the ladder. I was
Yeah.
just like, dude.
What was the spot they did from the ladder onto the other ladder? Because
He
that
did the senton bomb. He did the
yes!
fucking
Oh my
senton
god, the
bomb.
But
senton
this,
and
yeah,
the ladder, which was
the,
like the ricketyest thing ever, just would not
yeah,
budge.
did not give.
Not even a little bit.
So there was actually 4 spots because there was the senton,
That's
there was
true.
the suspended suplex, there was the crossroads, and then
Mhm.
there was the cutter.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about the cutter is like the dude looked like Michael Jordan. Like
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It was like the extension of it. Like he looked like a freaking gymnast.
Hmm.
not just the
Like, it was
extension, but he looked like he
beautiful.
was elevating for like a split second, kind of like the way Michael used to go up, and it looked like he was walking on air.
Yeah, he floated like Dante does.
Hmm.
But also it's the actual like what's the word I'm looking for? Not the collision, the impact.
Yeah.
Like the way they hit the ring,
Well,
like
because
It
they
was
were
so
so
flush.
perfectly horizontal in the
Yeah.
air. Like
Yeah.
that's, I think, just the visuality of it. Like that's why it's a GIF.
Yeah.
It's just they were so flat in the air and they landed so perfectly. Chef's
Yeah.
kiss to everybody. Fantastic.
but we have to give credit to the producer, the director, whoever does the switchboard, because the reason why we have such amazing gifts is because
The
you
shots.
see the move executed so perfectly that you actually get the close up of their heads hitting the mat
Yeah.
from the top of the ladder right down to the mat. And they're like his neck, his head, like especially with the crossroads, I was like, how
Oh.
did he even get up?
Dude, oh my gosh. Yeah. It looked scary for a second, that crossroads.
But even with the senton, like I
Oh,
would
yeah.
assume that they were expecting the ladder to break, and
Mhm.
it didn't break.
Yeah.
This guy is nuts. He's nuts. We've seen him do crazy things, but this was like beyond crazy. And like okay, so on our sister website, Tilt Magazine, we have a series of articles where it looks back at the greatest Royal Rumble matches of all time, and one of the matches that we highlight is the very first TLC match at the Royal Rumble between the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian, right?
Mhm.
And I rewatched that match. You can actually, we have like the actual video, so you can rewatch it on the website. But anyways, and I was like, that match ended with Jeff Hardy doing the senton from he was in the crowd, and it was, like when you're in an arena and you walk in, right? Like you walk in to get your seats, and there's like that entranceway. So he was at the top of the entrance. He did the senton on one of the Dudleys, I think it was Bubba, and he won the match. And I was like, that pales in comparison to what Sammy did from the top of the ladder doing the senton on Cody Rhodes was insane. And by the way, so this is why I want to talk about Sammy, not just about how great this match is, but just about his journey, because here he is wrestling Cody Rhodes, who's been a hot topic on our podcast for like a few weeks now, if not longer. And once again, Cody Rhodes is in an incredible match, which I keep on defending the dude as much as I hate his stupid promos. And he needs to we talked about this last week, right? I don't want to repeat myself.
Mhm.
But once again, he's in an amazing match. He was in the first ever cage match, and now the first ever ladder match.
Yeah, that's the thing. He knows how to build a good match. He knows, like, I don't know, like, what coaches they're working with, or if, it's just him and Sammy working at the spots, but, like, he does have a very good mind for giving us those moments.
Right. So, Aaron, looking back at Cody and Sammy, because you have to remember that they wrestled the very first match on Dynamite like over 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Here we are 2.5 years later. They have like one of the best matches ever on Dynamite. How would you describe their journey? Like Cody, like what happened with Cody where he gets to the point where people boo him and Sammy becomes like the fan favorite? Like I feel like looking at their careers and their journey in AEW and comparing them is so interesting.
I feel like Cody just stayed the same. I mean, like, it's the same old Cody, the way he cuts his promos, the way he wrestles. I mean, I don't see much progression from like there to now. Like, but Sammy is just like just has been going up. Like, I mean, the fact that he started off as a heel, now he's a baby face, but just his in-ring ability, his athleticism, like how his
We feel like we've been able to watch him grow
Yeah.
throughout kind of the course of the company. So obviously like it builds that sort of parasocial relationship when you see someone growing and you feel like you know them and you feel like you understand their struggles and have a certain amount of pride for where they are now compared to where they were back then, whereas Cody's just on a totally different trip.
Exactly.
I think you nailed it. I think that's it. And I didn't even think about it myself. I think that's the reason. It's about the struggles. It's about watching a man work his way to the top and have all of these roadblocks that he needs to get by. And it's about a struggle.
I mean, past,
Yeah, for sure. And Cody like is a VP. He helped start the company. He had the TNT championship 3 times. He has the ability to put himself in the spotlight and put himself in a main event. And we talked about this before in a podcast. Like, I know people say, oh, Cody Rhodes, like, he did everyone a favor and took him out of the picture for the world title. But I think he did it because he likes to play the martyr. Like, he likes to be the guy who apparently makes sacrifices for everyone else, but really it's to get attention. Like, so it doesn't feel sincere. It's like when someone gives someone a gift, but they're giving someone a gift and a really expensive gift because they want to outgift everyone else. Like, you go to a party and it's about them looking good. It's like, I gave my best friend the most expensive gift and I'm going to look good in front of everyone else. But really, like, that's not like sincere. Like, you're doing it for yourself, not for your friend. That's that. When I think of Cody Rhodes, I think of someone like that. Like, and I love Cody Rhodes as a wrestler. His matches are incredible, but when he gets on the microphone,
there's
like he did 2 weeks ago,
feels rehearsed, that feels insincere, inauthentic. And the thing is, I don't think that Cody is being inauthentic. He's just kind of lost the ability to sound authentic somehow along the way.
Right. But what's also interesting about comparing these 2 men is their relationship with Fuego. So the best thing I think Cody has done in like quite a while is, I mean, apart from like his match here, I mean, in story wise, it's his Too Fast to Fuego shtick with Fuego de Sol, which you can only watch on YouTube, which is a shame because it would be amazing on Dynamite. And it just feels like Cody lets himself go. Maybe it's because he's wearing a mask and he's not Cody Rhodes. Like, he could just be like silly and whatever. Where when he's in front of the camera on Dynamite, he's too like businesslike. He's too like, I don't know. He's a turnoff. And
feels
here,
like a politician, like we said before.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody likes politicians. No. Like, nobody. Like, I don't care if you're the nicest politician in the world. You're still a politician.
And it doesn't matter what party you're with.
Exactly.
That's not the point.
We're still questioning your motives.
Didn't you think it was poetic that here we have this incredible match? It's most likely going to end this feud, which has been going on since, again, like the very first episode of Dynamite. And Cody turns on Fuego. He turns on Fuego.
I mean, I was pretty shocked how that happened. I was like, again, it makes you question about like, how like Cody doesn't want to turn heel, yet he does stuff like this, and it's like makes you question like the bigger picture, right?
I know, right? Like, how could you turn on one of the most likable, sweetest guys in the roster?
Exactly. So
but you don't want to turn heel?
That is why. I mean, this whole like not wanting to turn heel is it's gotta be like a job, man. Like he's
There's a reason he comes out of the middle. He honestly believes he's above heel or face. He's just gonna ride the John Cena heat to wherever he's going next.
No, it's a job. I'm telling you, he's gonna turn Homelander. He's gonna turn Homelander.
He doesn't see it.
He's gonna laser everyone in the crowd at some point.
He doesn't see the Homelander. He thinks he's a hero.
I think we were actually really nice when we talked about his last promo on the podcast. Like, if you listen to some of the wrestling podcasts out there, they like completely rip him to shreds. Jim Cornette's podcast was the funniest, and he was actually being kind of like really nice, where they were talking about how much they actually enjoy watching this confusion, like this ball of confusion, because nobody, including Cody, seems to know what is going on. But at the same time, it kind of feels like we're watching a man have a nervous breakdown in the middle of the ring, which is like what they said. And I kind of agree with them because that last promo was like whack. It was all over the place. We have no idea what it was about. He was addressing like 6,000 different wrestlers. I don't know if, speaking of Homelander, let's shift over to a different superhero show, Peacemaker. And I don't know if you are watching it, but the most recent episode, John Cena does this thing where he just like lists off like 20,000 different people in like a matter of a minute. It makes no sense. And that was very similar to what Cody Rhodes did.
Okay, I don't think I've seen the most recent episode, but that's probably
freaking amazing. I kind of feel like at this point in time, it's like Cody Rhodes went from Homelander and now he's shifting to Peacemaker, where he's losing his mind. He's becoming sort of like a parody and a character that people laugh at instead of like fearing. Like the only thing this dude needs really now is a freaking CGI eagle. Like he could do the whole Matt Riddle thing, replace the birds with like an eagle, and we got Peacemaker.
I wouldn't put it past him though.
But that is the beauty of Sammy, and I think this leads me to the very last point I want to make about Sammy is I do think that after 2.5 years, he does need sort of like a story to latch onto, which focuses on him, not the inner circle, because I still do think that his initial first run with the TNT title was the worst. And by the way, the TNT championship is by far the best championship in AEW. It's had the best storylines, the best matches, and the best champions, right? Everyone from Brody to Darby to Cody, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But that first championship that he won, like there wasn't really much of a story. It was just like, I got a match. And so I want to see him in a freaking story that's fleshed out and that lasts like more than like a day.
What I'm afraid of though is because, I mean, like Sammy Guevara is the TNT champion, but there's the storyline between the inner circle is certainly developing. It's like with the whole Santana and Ortiz thing. So like I don't know if like Sammy is gonna go back into that picture, because I mean I think we'd have to settle the whole like inner circle breaking up.
Oh, I think they're done.
I'm pretty sure they're done.
But I feel like we need to put a pin in it, at least for Sammy's, just to make it like, okay, we don't need to worry about what he's doing in reference to Jericho and Proud and Powerful. Because I'm really enjoying that right now. But I mean, he's still wearing his inner circle vest when he comes out, and stuff. So I feel like we're probably going to have that whole faction break up. So maybe Sammy gets something out of that storyline, but I feel like it's working better for Proud and Powerful. So I'm not sure if we include Sammy in that story or not, like whether that helps him or not.
I think if you're a face, you work better, especially if you're a champion, if you're not part of a faction. Like, it's like, it's weird. Like, even if you look at someone like Big E, who's part of like the
New Day,
the New Day.
Yeah.
Like, everyone loves him as a champion, but I don't know. Like, again, it's about the struggle. It's about overcoming the odds. It's about having like someone like CM Punk in the middle of the ring being beat down by 5 guys, Wardlow, MJF, Sean Spears, FTR, and watching this man overcome the odds and beat all of these guys one by one by one by one. That is just the underdog story, or the classic, sports movie story where it looks like he has no chance in hell of winning, but he does. And so him moving away from the inner circle is good for him. But I saw randomly on TikTok this video of Sammy from 4 years ago, before AEW. And I do not know what channel this is or who this person is, but it's some guy who does like different characters in drag. You might know what this is, but anyhow. So it's this dude who has a YouTube channel. I need to figure out who he is. Because it was on TikTok, and the actual video appeared on someone else's like channel, so it wasn't part of whoever made the video wasn't part of his channel. So he's in this like crazy video where there's like it's not that the guy plays different characters. He's playing this lady named Helen, this old sort of like Jewish lady who used to be a wrestler, and she is supposed to train this wrestler, and it turns out Sammy is the wrestler who shows up that she's supposed to train. It's this whole comedy sketch that you would see on something like SNL. Anyhow, so I'm watching this thing, and I was like, "Holy shit, Sammy's amazing in this!" Like, you're talking about like levels of Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin. What do you call it?
Physical comedy.
Slaps
Mm.
physical comedy. Yeah, I was like, because we've sort of seen like him do this on like especially his vlog,
Mhm.
but this was like at another level. This was like, holy shit, this guy can actually act, and he's so charismatic and physically, and just the way he emotes.
Was
like,
that maybe like an old Lucha Underground thing?
no. This was some dude who has like a YouTube channel.
Okay.
He plays a bunch
Because
of
he
different
did do a lot of
characters.
more of that stuff on Lucha Underground. Like Lucha Underground had a lot of like really goofy sketches and stuff like that. Like I
Mm.
haven't actually seen it, but that sounds more like a lot of it was very goofy.
Yeah. Because like, I think if you just let him be himself, you'll be surprised like what he can do.
Mhm.
Like when he comes out of his shell completely
Yeah.
and just like, yeah. So I mean, look, we are what 2.5 years into Dynamite. Dynamite's anniversary is in October, so we're getting to like 3 years of Dynamite. But in like 2 years, 2+ years so far, like he's come a long way, and I like the way they haven't rushed his like character arc. Like, he didn't just go from like that first match to winning the championship right away. He had like the feud with the Pinnacle, with the Inner Circle. He had like the Stadium Stampede, not once but twice. You know, like he's wrestled. Like, has he
And he
wrestled
took
Jungle Boy?
one of the most. Ooh, I
He
feel like
has,
a
no?
long time ago.
Yeah,
Like
a
maybe
long
in the
time.
first year.
Mhm.
Okay, because I know he's wrestled, like, when you talk about the Four Pillars, he had that amazing match with Darby on the pay-per-view event. He had the
Mhm.
match with MJF.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember him wrestling Jungle Boy
I feel like he
it
has.
might have happened like on a dark, like right at
on
the
a
start
dark.
of everything, or something like that.
Yes, I think it was on an episode of Dark. You could be right. I'm not sure, because he wrestled Darby Allin on Dark. It's crazy. Hey, think about this. 2 years ago, Sammy was wrestling Darby Allin on Dark on a YouTube channel, like not even on TV.
Mhm.
Like, holy shit. Like, that's why Dark used to be amazing. Like, I don't really watch Dark anymore because there's too much wrestling for me to watch. Like, Rampage and Dynamite's enough. But I remember Dark being amazing because Dark was basically what Dynamite is now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I certainly hope that there's going to be interesting feuds on this second go around with the TNT title. So we'll see. I mean, it looks like Scorpio Skies is in the line here, or in the mix up.
Man, I can't stand Scorpio Sky. Like, I can't stand this guy at all.
I like him better as a heel.
Yeah.
I definitely like him better as a heel, but I'm not excited for this feud.
I mean, he's been in that picture for so long now. I mean, like since the freaking like brass ring thing, you know.
Dude,
yeah,
he has no
I feel
charisma.
like he's just been so shoehorned into the mid that,
Mhm.
like, unless they need to do something, like, I don't buy him as anything other than mid.
I
at this
mean,
point,
but
so.
that's the thing. It's like if we take him out of that, what do we put him with?
Who, Scorpio Sky?
Mhm.
Just get rid of the guy. Like, I really don't like this guy.
I-
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
make fun of Sean Spears, but I like Sean Spears. I think he's actually a good wrestler. He's got a good physique, and I like what he's doing. His shtick works.
Mhm.
Scorpio Sky doesn't work. His whole thing, he's bringing Ethan Page down to a level of like pure crap.
Mm.
He's Dan Lambert doesn't help. He's not a good heel at all. He worked well. He was okay as like a good guy, a face in a tag team.
Mhm.
There are very few AEW wrestlers who I have disliked since the start of AEW, and I don't like him on camera at all. He just drives me nuts. Everything about him feels phony. Like, I just watched, they did this amazing video, like, what do you call it? Like a video package.
Mhm.
Him and Ethan Page, and sort of like this like 70s style like cop show. And it's like produced by Tony Khan, right? It looks like Spike Jones directed it or something.
Mm.
And everything's great about it except for Scorpio Sky. He just comes across as so phony. He's overacting, just he drives me nuts. Even his freaking action figure is terrible. It's like the worst of the bunch.
I know, like I don't share the hate as passionate as passionately as you do, but like it's just like the way he comes off. It's like it's just so generic, you know. Like it's just like coming off
Yeah.
of a card or something. Like there's no charisma. There's no like. It's just bland. You know?
It's fake. It's phony.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like he doesn't work. He's trying to be something he's not, and
Mm-hmm.
it's rare that in AEW wrestlers do things like they portray characters that just don't work. Like usually they drop it. Like the best example is when you go back to Brandy Rhodes and that stupid faction that lasted like 2 weeks because it just didn't work, and they realized it didn't work and they dropped it right away. But the reason why I mentioned this because you said he should feud with him, and I'm like, no, it would be okay if he feuded with Ethan Page. Ethan Page can actually have a great match. I mean,
And
remember
they
the
did.
casket
I feel
match?
like they did already, and
Yeah.
it was very good. Oh no, Ethan Page fought Cody for the.
No, it was Cody.
I mean, it feels like all that those guys do is challenge for the TNT belt.
yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem. That's the problem is that Ethan Page is just stuck in like the TNT picture all the time.
He's wrestled for it like 3 times and lost 3 times. Like,
Mhm.
what are we doing?
And he's still involved with Scorpio Sky, still involved with Dan Lambert, and really not doing anything more than that. I'm like, dude, you could
I
do
know,
so much with
I
Ethan Page.
Love me some Ethan Page. He is just being tethered like an anchor
hmm
to these guys.
Like you could do so much with Ethan Page. I mean, like I just think of like the stuff he's done with Impact. I'm like, dude, the guy's hilarious. You can do so much with him.
Yeah, the guy really is like the complete package. Like even his mic work, like they've paired him up with other people to talk to him. He's the one who got the crowd back when Scorpio and Dan Lambert lost them. He's so good.
I would be totally okay with Ethan Page versus Sammy in a feud. That would be great. Just drop the whole Scorpio Sky thing. But I mean, like, I still think that Sammy needs to change 3 things to really get him to the next level. Number 1, stop sticking out your tongue. Okay. Number 2,
he's not gonna stop doing that.
You need to stop. It's a bad habit. Stop it. Number 2, change your theme song. I understand it maybe has like sentimental like value, brings back nostalgia, memories. Change the theme song. You need something better. And number 3, do not wrestle Scorpio Sky. Those are the 3 things he needs to do to elevate to the next level.
What will we change with? Okay, think of a licensed song. What would be good for Sammy Guevara? Just want to throw out this last question.
Ooh, this is gonna be a tough one.
I know. Maybe we could save it on another podcast, or we can make.
Yeah, you know what? I think we should return to that main event next week. Maybe it's been a while. We did that segment
that was
way
really
back
fun.
in...
But there's a lot of new people.
Yeah,
a lot
let's
of new
save
people.
it. Let's save that question. Yeah. Well, for anyone who wants to listen to our older episodes, we did a really fun segment like way back, like within the first 10 episodes of this podcast. It might have been like episode 5, where we chose wrestlers and then picked a licensed song, like a pop song, a rock song, whatever, that would go well with those wrestlers. So we can return to that. I thought you were going to ask what they could do to change Scorpio Sky, and I was like, oh my God, I don't have an hour.
No. That's another podcast in itself, but we'll see.
I still kind of wish, and I know nobody wants AEW to copy WWE, but I wish they had something like the Royal Rumble, because to me, it's like my favorite pay-per-view event. I like the idea of having these 30 people battle it out for a chance at the world title and always having like 2 or 3 big surprises. It's just like, it's the most fun PPV event.
It is.
Even if it's not the best sometimes.
It is, because a lot of times like the people that come out are really like the people you don't expect. I mean, they do a good job of like keeping it secret,
Yeah, like today, everyone thinks Cody's going to come out.
Good.
Can you imagine?
I mean, I've heard.
I mean, if you want to turn full on heel, like sure.
I've heard some friends saying like, "Oh, John Moxley might show." I'm like, there is no way in hell John Moxley is showing up. Like, you guys are nuts.
Yeah, no.
All right, Sammy is a god of wrestling.
Spanish god, yes.
All right. I think on that note, we are going to call it a day. But I want to thank all of you out there in podcast land for listening. Again, leave a review or comment if you are able to in whatever app you're using to listen to us. And again, if you have answers to some of our question blocks, leave that as a comment. That would be very fun. I also want to thank my co-host, Mr. Aaron Santos.
No problemo.
And of course, the ravishing Ricky D.
Yeah, once again, you can find the podcast over at our website, which is talkaew.net. Talkaew.net. Yeah, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Podbean. Like, it is everywhere where you get your favorite podcasts. So do check it out. Once again, all the info is at talkaew.net, along with our contact information if you do want to email us a question. But the best thing to do really is to follow us on Twitter. It is TalkAEW Podcast. I'm going to be honest with everyone. I sort of gave up on the IG account. Maybe I'll return to it, but I don't know. Twitter seems to be the place to be. So, yeah.
Goodbye.
Well, Danhausen's good friends with Orange Cassidy, so he thought he could, help him out by decimating Adam Cole, which we saw he did, or he helped Orange Cassidy, helped loosen Adam Cole up so he could decimate him. Soften him up, if you will. And that one thing led to another. Looks like Orange Cassidy got the job done, as Danhausen knew he would. And now, Danhausen is very elite. Very evil!
We're the Ass Boys! We're the Ass Boys! Billy Ass and the Ass Boys! We're the Ass Boys! Billy Ass and the Ass Boys! It's our last name. We were born with them. We did not choose it.